Hello. The next story that I'm going to read is the story about Clara Hale. Clara Hale is a humanitarian born in Pennsylvania in 1905. I'll tell you a little bit more about this story when I'm done because it doesn't have the necessarily happy ending. But here, let me start reading. Let me put you down there. Okay. On a spring afternoon in 1969, a woman named Lorraine stopped at a red light on a street in central Harlem in New York City. She had just come home from a short visit with her mother, who had given her some lemonade and a listening ear for her troubled soul. The young woman, a special education teacher and guidance counselor in the New York City public school system, was feeling that she was not making enough of a difference in the lives of young people. She was going through her frustrations as she waited at the red light and thinking, too, about her mother's standard advice. Lorraine, God put you on this earth for a reason. He's going to reveal that reason to you. Just wait and keep your heart open so you'll see it when he puts it in front of you. All Lorraine could see at the moment was her own turmoil. Then something caught her eye. It was a woman in a strange state on a crate near the curb. In her arms there was a bundle. Lorraine thought she saw a little arm. The car behind her beeped her to awareness that the light was now green. Lorraine drove on, but something within would not let her drive away. She circled the block and came back to the spot, parked, and got out of the car. As she drew nearer to the woman, Lorraine was certain that the bundle was a baby and that the woman was on drugs, lost in a heroin nod. It was a sad night, and these were very sad times in Harlem. Indeed, 1969 was a very sad time around the nation. Many people were in low and bitter spirits. In the previous year, there had been much mourning. On April 4th, 1968, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., great healer and testament of hope, was assassinated. 3 months later, on June 5th, another champion of the causes of the poor and oppressed was slain. New York Senator Robert F. Kennedy, younger brother of President John F. Kennedy, who had been assassinated in 1963, Bobby, as he was known, was killed while on the campaign trail for the presidency, and many Americans thought he surely would keep hope and justice alive, building on some of the policies of President Lyndon Baines Johnson, who had already announced that he would not seek re-election. In 1964, President Johnson had declared a war on poverty, a battle to be fought with job training, new and improved housing, and other pro-people measures. He had said yes to the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 and 1968, which prohibited discrimination in public accommodations, employment, and housing. In continuing the new frontier policies of John F. Kennedy, for whom he had served as vice president, Johnson had named his vision of a better nation the Great Society. His vision, however, was never realized. In the 1968 presidential election, instead of choosing then Vice President Hubert Humphrey, the candidate most likely to press on with the goals of the Great Society, the majority of voters cast their ballot for the Republican candidate Richard Nixon. So, by 1969, the Great Society was a lost cause, and the Harlems of the nation were especially sad places to be. Harlem, the capital of Black America, had indeed seen much better days. Her longtime fighting congressman, the Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr., pastor of the Abyssinian Baptist Church, had been weakened by political problems and sickness, too. Added to this, in the wake of the social and economic gains made during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, was that many achievers left Harlem for greener pastures. They moved to New York's outer boroughs of Queens and the Bronx, to towns in Westchester County, and to the Garden State, New Jersey. The flight of the middle class drained Harlem of many everyday role models and stabilizing forces. One of the most formidable foes in Harlem was drug abuse, on the rise throughout the nation. Heroin in particular had a fierce hold on increasing numbers of people. Lorraine could not help this woman. What if in her stupor she let the baby slip onto the hard concrete? What if the bundle rolled onto the street? My mother will help you, Lorraine said to the woman. She loves babies and will give you a chance to get yourself together. Lorraine then pressed into the woman's hand a piece of paper on which she had been scribbling something as she spoke. Here, go to this address, Lorraine urged. This Lorraine is Dr. Lorraine E. Hale, who recounted this moment in Hale House, Alive with Love. The short and sweet story of the beginnings of a place where miracles have happened, where infant lives have been transformed. The woman took Lorraine's advice. She went to Clara Hale and ended up leaving the baby girl with her to be cared for and eventually named Amanda. Clara Hale truly did love babies, but Amanda was the last thing she wanted in her life. She was actually quite upset with Lorraine when the woman appeared at her door saying her daughter had sent her. Clara Hale was 65 years old at the time. She was looking forward to retirement, to relaxing, and doing as she pleased with no one to take care of except herself. If anyone deserved a long stretch of rest and relaxation, it was this small, wiry woman who had known very little leisure in her life. She was born Clara McBride on April 1st, 1905, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was the youngest of her parents' 4 children, but she never knew her father because he died when she was a baby. After her husband's death, Mrs. McBride supported the family by taking lodgers into her home. Clara may have known hard times as she was growing up, but her Baptist rearing kept her out of trouble and on the positive track. One significant indication of this is that she graduated from high school, something that many people did not do or even reach for when Clara was a teenager. Clara McBride began a new life when she married Thomas Hale. The couple eventually moved to New York City, where he started a floor waxing business, and she helped make ends meet by cleaning theaters. They were intent on not just getting by, but on paving the way for their children, Nathan and Lorraine, to have a better life. Part of their program was Mr. Hale's attendance at City College at night. But 6 months after he graduated from college, and not long after the birth of their 3rd child, Kenneth, Mr. Hale died. As the family's sole support now, his 27-year-old widow had to make more money. She added domestic work to her janitorial jobs. It grieved Clara Hale that supporting her children meant being away from them for so many hours of the day and night. She searched for a solution and found it in foster care. She could earn a living taking care of other people's children and be at home with her own at the same time. This turned out to be a very workable solution, and over the next 20-odd years, Clara Hale raised more than 40 children. Her impact on these young lives was profound. As she remembered years later in an interview for the book I Dream a World, Portraits of Black Women Who Changed America, every one of them went to college. Every one of them graduated, and they have lovely jobs. They're some of the nicest people. Anything they wanted to do, I back them up. I have singers, dancers, preachers, and things like that. They're school teachers, lawyers, doctors, anything else. No big name or anything, but they're happy. Considering all that she had done to help others pursue happy lives, no one would begrudge Clara Hale's desire to retire. But little, abandoned Amanda ushered her into a renewed career. Certain that the baby's mother was not going to return for her, Clara Hale took Amanda into her own life. It wasn't long before word of her act of compassion got around. People have always been known to take in a friend or relative's child in an emergency, but rare are those who will take in a stranger's child, especially when that stranger is a drug addict. Before the summer of 1969 was over, Clara Hale had 22 babies in her small 5-room apartment, all of them born to drug-abusing women. The babies were days old to over 1 year old, not only in need of food, shelter, and clothing, but also someone with the patience to hug and rock and bear with their crying during their long days and nights of awful withdrawing from drugs. There was a time when many people did not believe that a baby could be born a drug addict. Clara Hale knew better firsthand. Depending on how heavily the mother had been using drugs and how close to the time of delivery she had last taken some drugs, the baby might suffer anything from mild discomfort to extended bouts of serious sickness, diarrhea, vomiting, breathing trouble, hyperirritability, and seizures. A baby could be in the throes of withdrawal for as short a time as a few days or for as long as several months. And since drug-abusing mothers give little or no thought to nutrition and rarely seek prenatal care, their babies are apt to be born with other deficiencies and defects of body and mind. Such was the early life of the babies brought to Clara Hale's door. Babies like Tiny Ty, a newborn whom Lorraine Hale remembered thusly. Angels must have caught him the night his drug-addicted mother pitched him in the dumpster. It was filled with broken wine bottles and splintered furniture, yet he fell on the one soft thing in it, a piece of discarded carpet that smelled of wine. Fortunately, only a few mosquitoes and roaches had bothered him. It was truly a miracle that he had beaten the odds of dying from exposure those critical first hours of his young life. And now he needed us to help him beat a more determined foe, heroin, his birth companion, the monkey on his back. Caring for a healthy baby is a very time, energy, and money-consuming task. Caring for one in physical and emotional agony is doubly so. Clara Hale's selflessness and remarkable gift for nursing and nurturing makes it easy to understand why she came to be known as Mother Hale. For the next few years, with the financial and physical support of Lorraine and additional financial assistance from her two sons, Clara Hale went on to help dozens of children beat the monkey on their back. They were children of various races and ethnicities. They were children who came to her in various ways. Some were simply left at her door. Others were handed to her by their mothers in a desperate effort to get their children the help that they knew they could not provide. These children were all addicted to various substances: alcohol, heroin, methadone, cocaine. In the early 1970s, Clara Hale received relatively small sums of money from New York City to help with expenses of taking care of these babies. In 1973, with her daughter as executive director, she founded the Hale House Center for the Promotion of Human Potential, thus officially becoming the first nonprofit nursery for drug-addicted children. Mother Hale had no more thoughts of retirement, and her daughter definitely had found her calling. In 1975, Hale House moved to a 5-story brownstone on West 122nd Street. This house that Love built would become a multi-service organization, giving intensive personal care to about 20 children at a time. It had a staff of more than 24 dedicated men and women, from those who cooked the babies good food to child care specialists and medical professionals, including a psychologist and a speech therapist. Hale House further helped the children through its relationship with local clinics and various social service agencies. By the early 1980s, Hale House had seen to the physical and emotional needs of about 600 children. One of Hale House's great hope was to see families whole and healthy, so they referred the mothers of their charges to places where they could obtain help for their drug addiction and other problems. In the majority of the cases, over 90% of the time, the women did turn their lives around and were able to one day truly mother their children. When a mother died or disappeared, the Hales did all that they could to find a relative willing and capable of taking good care of the child. In those instances where foster care or adoption was the only option, they did their best to see that a child went to responsible, loving people. By the mid-1980s, Hale House was making a major difference in many lives, not just in the lives of the sick and broken, but the well, too, for Mother Hale inspired others around the nation to be more compassionate. Some started similar programs, while others became faithful financial supporters of Hale House, and funding was always an issue. Hale House had never received major funding from the government, but relied heavily on the generosity of private citizens, churches, and civic-minded corporations. In spite of money woes, Hale House carried on, and its needs only increased. By now, Hale House was becoming home to more and more babies who were not only addicted to drugs, but who had been born with a mysterious disease that would make their care more costly. These were babies with AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, the final stages of HIV, which can either merely weaken or totally destroy the body's ability to effectively fight disease. Linda was Mother Hale's first AIDS baby. She had come to Hale House because she was born with a cocaine addiction, as Lorraine Hale recounted. It took 2 months after her arrival at Hale House for all the symptoms of drug withdrawal to disappear. Thin and sickly, mostly with colds and fevers, Linda had to be seen at the local clinic at least once a week. She and Mother had a special relationship going that included various games. When Mother called her name, her eyes so alert would brighten and widen. I laughed and laughed at her reaction. It was always the same, no matter how many times they played it. Several months later, and after numerous days in the hospital, it was discovered that Linda had been exposed to the AIDS virus. About 1/3 of the babies born to women with HIV are born with the virus. Some grow up in relative good health, others die young. Now, I need to add this book, just so you know, was published, it was copyright 1988. Just so you know, a lot of things have changed with HIV and AIDS. I mean, now I think it's called HIV. I think they got rid of AIDS as a term. Anyway, at the time, but we got to remember the time this is written. At the time Linda was diagnosed, many people reacted, those with HIV and AIDS, the way people reacted over the ages to lepers. Don't touch. A hug, a kiss, or even a teardrop might give them the disease. They feared. The Hales were deeply saddened when they discovered that members of the Hale House team thought like this, and that they did not want Linda to return to Hale House. Mother Hale and Lorraine held fast. Although she was not greeted with open arms by everyone, Linda did return to Hale House. She was put in a room alone with only Mother Hale, Lorraine, and another child care worker to tend to her. In the face of the AIDS crisis, Mother Hale's love for and commitment to the neediest children only strengthened. In the late 1980s, she stated, "I'm not going to retire again. Until I die, I'm going to keep doing. We're going to open a place for children with AIDS. People shun them, and it's not their fault. I want them to live a good life while they can and know someone loves them." Through the referrals of neighbors, ministers, social workers, police officers, and other civil servants, the children continue to come to Hale House with their drug addictions, with their AIDS. People marveled at Mother Hale, who now in her 80s still had the patience and stamina to day after day, feed, clean, rock, and walk the floor with these sick and suffering babies. Those are the children Mother Hale chose to love. What kept her going? We gain strength from the love we give, she once said, and the love it generates. When Mother Clara Hale died in December 1992 at the age of 87, Hale House had helped close to 1,000 infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. She had seen some of her children grow up to be healthy and others who had not done so well. Of those who died very young, there was peace in the knowledge that while at Hale House, they had known tenderness and mercy. Lorraine Hale was, I don't know this word, with a double portion of her mother's spirit, has continued in her Hale House work. In 1994, the model for the Mother Hale Memorial was unveiled in New York City's Riverside Church. In his testimony to Clara Hale's long years of service to the young, the church's senior minister, James A. Forbes Jr., remembered her as one who taught us the art of guiding little feet across bridges over troubled waters and landing them on a safe, solid rock. During her lifetime, people around the world had applauded and praised Clara Hale for her work. She had received numerous awards, including the Leonard H. Carter Humanitarian Award in 1987 and the Booth Community Service Award in 1990. These were the highest awards of the Salvation Army, founded in 1865, to minister to the bodies and spirits of the poor, with a special focus on alcoholics in the early years and later drug-sick souls, too. Mother Hale has been called a saint, a miracle worker, a blessing to the nation. In his 1985 State of the Union address, President Ronald Reagan had hailed Mother Hale as an American hero. In an interview sometime later, she ever humbly said, "I'm not an American hero, I'm a person that loves children." Anyway, as I researched this Hale House, unfortunately, I didn't write down notes, but around 2001, the daughter, Lorraine, was, I guess indicted or whatever. It looked like a lot of money was being taken away from the different programs and not spent right. And so I don't think she went to prison, but Hale House ended up closing. It's not opened anymore, and her daughter ended up dying, apparently from Alzheimer's. She lived quite long into old age, but she, also has passed away. But the Hale House is no longer there because of just misappropriation of funds, and it sounds like a lot of money. It was something that people had supported, and I'm not sure, exactly what happened there. I had Googled it, so it doesn't exist anymore. But Clara Hale did exist, and she did take in children into her home, into her own home. And I was reading, like, where did these kids come from, you know? And when they were coming into her own home, it was commonplace for women to leave home, and they would be back way back when, and they would leave their homes like out of shame of having a baby and then dump the babies and stuff like that. So it was a very interesting story, and I just wanted to know more about it because I thought this is somebody more recent, you know. But anyway, so that's that, and I hope I read it okay. My throat was starting to get dry, and I needed water. Let's see if I can pick up this phone right. Let's see. I always pick it upside down. Anyway, I'm laying on this bed, and it's like I'm tired, and my battery's probably going to go dead. I hope you enjoyed the story, and hope I didn't read it too fast. Bye-bye.